Catastrophic political events often elevate talented individuals to leadership positions. In this video, we explore the life of Yelu Dashi, former prince of the Liao Empire, who founded the state of Qara Khitai and defeated the Seljuk Sultan Ahmad Sanjar at the Battle of Qatwan. The hero of our story, Yelu Dashi, was born in 1087, the Common Era, as a prince of the imperial Liao dynasty, also known as the Khitan Empire. He was a direct descendant of Khitan Emperor Dezong, the founder of the Liao Empire, tracing his lineage back 8 generations. As a young prince, he studied Khitan and Chinese philosophy and literature extensively and excelled as a horseman and archer. In 1115, Yelu Dashi was appointed governor of 2 regions in what is now the Chinese province of Shanxi. By this time, the Jurchens, a Tungusic people from Manchuria, had established the Jin dynasty and begun to dominate the region, engaging in conflict with the Liao Empire to expand their territory. The primary military actions took place in the north, in Manchuria, but Yelu Dashi did not participate in these battles. The northern Song dynasty, located south of the Liao Empire, allied with the Jurchens of the Jin dynasty, located east of the Liao Empire. In the 1022nd year, the northern Song army, led by General Tongguan, attacked the Liao dynasty's southern regions, including territories under Yelu Dashi's control. Despite the northern Song's numerical superiority, Yelu Dashi, commanding a force of 2,000 Khitans, achieved a decisive victory over the northern Song forces. However, the Jurchen army continued to advance from the north, eventually capturing the Liao Empire's southern part. In 1123, Yelu Dashi and 7,000 Khitan warriors fled west. They joined Emperor Tianzhuo of the Liao. Emperor Tianzhuo ordered Yelu Dashi to lead the Liao army sent east to fight the Jurchen forces. But in a battle with the Jurchen vanguard, Yelu Dashi was captured. 5 months later, Yelu Dashi escaped captivity and rejoined Emperor Tianzhuo. At the time, Emperor Tianzhuo was planning a new military campaign against the Jurchens. Yelu Dashi, familiar with the internal situation of the Jurchen army, was invited to contribute to the strategy. However, Yelu Dashi criticized the campaign, arguing that the Jurchen forces held decisive superiority over the Liao army. He proposed accumulating military strength and waiting for a more opportune moment to strike a decisive blow against the Jin Empire. Unable to convince the emperor, Yelu Dashi withdrew with a loyal squad of 200 warriors to the northwest in 1124, to the Kedun Fortress of the Liao Empire. Emperor Tianzhuo was captured by the Jin dynasty in 1125, marking the end of the Liao dynasty. Liao's imperial fortress of Kedun had a garrison of 20,000 soldiers, who were completely loyal to Yelu Dashi as the Prince of Liao. In addition, Yelu Dashi proposed a plan to save them after the fall of the Liao Empire. Yelu Dashi and his warriors received a herd of garrison horses, which made their movements easier. In 1128, the Jurchen Jin Empire dispatched an army west to defeat Yelu Dashi. This Jurchen offensive forced Yelu Dashi to retreat even further west with a detachment of 20,000 loyal warriors. He established a new base on the Emlí River, approximately 1,500 kilometers from the Kedun Fortress. A military clash with the Yenisei Kyrgyz demonstrated to Yelu Dashi that the route to Siberia was closed. An attempt to capture Kashgar in the summer of 1131 ended in a defeat for Yelu Dashi. However, in 1134, he successfully captured the city of Balagasn and made it his capital. Around 16,000 Khitan warriors, who had previously migrated to Transoxiana, defected to Yelu Dashi. Strengthened by these forces, he was then able to capture the cities of Kashgar and Khitan. These actions led to the creation of the state of Qara Khitai. In 1032, Yelu Dashi assumed the title of Gurkhan. Unlike hereditary monarchies, the Gurkhan was elected by the nomadic army, making the Gurkhan a first among equals rather than an absolute monarch like the Chinese emperor. However, The title Gurkhan was used for Yelu Dashi only by the Khitans. For the native inhabitants of the regions included in the state of Qara Khitai, Yelu Dashi adopted the title Emperor Dezong and referred to his state as the Empire Great Liao, also known as the Western Liao. In this way, Yelu Dashi equated his status with the Khitan warriors, who formed the core of his military forces, while serving as emperor to the native population. Yelu Dashi expanded his influence into the Jetissu region, Al-Malik, and Yangjibalik, eventually gaining control over modern Xinjiang. In 1134, he sent an army of 70,000 eastward to confront the Jurchens of the Jin Empire. However, the army could not traverse the desert and was forced to return. He then spent several years consolidating his power in the Fergana Valley and Tashkent, thus extending his empire westward and southward. In 1137, the Qara Khitai army decisively defeated the Western Karakhanids near Hujand. Following this, the Karakhanid ruler Mahmud II sought protection from his Seljuk overlord, Sultan Ahmed Sanjar. In 1141, Sultan Sanjar arrived in Samarkand with an army of 100,000 elite warriors, seasoned in battles against Byzantium and the Crusaders, and equipped with advanced military technology. Chinese sources claim that the Qara Khitai army numbered 300,000 warriors. Let us ask ourselves, how could Yelu Dashi recruit such a large army? Nomadic life is profoundly shaped by moisture levels in the steppe, which dictate the availability of fodder for livestock. During periods of low solar activity, Atlantic cyclones bring much-needed moisture to the steppes, allowing grass to flourish. In these favorable conditions, cattle grow fat and reproduce. For the nomads, this is a time of prosperity. During periods of intense solar activity, Atlantic cyclones shift northward, reducing precipitation and causing the steppes to dry out, transforming them into deserts. This leads to livestock losses and famine among the nomads. In the 12th century, during the events of our story, a period of low solar activity brought monsoons to the steppe, irrigating the grass and increasing the number of cattle among the nomads. The abundance of food led to a rise in the birth rate, and many boys born during this time survived, growing into strong young warriors. However, each nomadic family had only a limited plot for cattle breeding, which posed an obstacle to expanding their livestock herds. The surplus food available during this period of low solar activity was consumed by additional family members, preventing families from trading surplus meat and skins for grain and handicrafts. As a result, young nomadic warriors were driven to seek military success and reward in the army of the Qara Khitai. In addition to warriors, the large army of the Qara Khitai required significant funds to equip and train its forces. Such large sums of money were in the hands of Uyghur merchants, who were Nestorians and harbored a deep hatred for Muslims. The Uyghurs were already allies of Yelu Dashi, having previously assisted him by providing food supplies. Now, they financed the creation of his vast army to wage war against the Muslims. In return for their support, Yelu Dashi crushed their Muslim competitors in Tashkent, Fergana, Kashgar, and Khittan, granting the Uyghur merchants a monopoly on the caravan trade. After the Battle of Qatwan, Uyghur cities began to flourish. The Battle of Qatwan occurred on September 9, 1141, in the Qatwan steppe north of Samarkand. The Qara Khitai army simultaneously attacked the Seljuk forces, encircled them and forced the Seljuk army into the Dardan dry river valley. Trapped in a narrow valley of the dry river, the Seljuks had no room to maneuver and were shot with arrows by the Qara Khitai army, which stood on the elevated banks. Sultan Sanjar barely escaped with his life, fleeing the battlefield while his army was destroyed. Among the captives taken by the Qara Khitai were several Seljuk commanders and even Sanjar's wife, a personal and political blow to the Sultan. The defeat at Qatwan shattered Seljuk dominance in Central Asia. The Seljuk Empire lost all its eastern provinces up to the river Siadaya, and the Western Karakhanids passed the vassalage of the Qara Khitai. Sanjar's empire, weakened by internal divisions and now external threats, never fully recovered. The Qara Khitai, on the other hand, consolidated their power in the region and became the preeminent force in Central Asia for the next several decades to the Mongol invasions in the 13th century. The battle also demonstrated the effectiveness of nomadic tactics. Yelu Dashi died in 1143, 2 years after the Battle of Qatwan, as the ruler of most of Central Asia. After his death, the Qara Khitai controlled Transoxania, Fergana, Jetisu, the Tarim Basin, and Auria. His victory over the Seljuks and his favorable relations with Nestorian Christianity, which flourished under Qara Khitai's rule, contributed to his association with the legend of Prester John, a Christian king destined to challenge Islam. His son was given the Christian name Elijah.